Gonna get straight and hit it, and yeah, it takes off already up to 60. So there it is. I mean, it is quick, and the thing about it is in sport mode it also gives this kind of augmented sound. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2024 Acura ZDX A-Spec single motor trim, and I'm going to tell you why this might be the best trim in the entire ZDX lineup. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after, or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, the Acura ZDX is their first full electric SUV. And if you guys haven't watched some of our other videos here on Drive Culture, we have reviews of other trims like the ZDX dual motor and even the fully loaded ZDX Type S. But this is the first time that we're actually bringing the single motor trim here on the channel. And I thought that was important because, quite frankly, when people are looking at the lease deals that are on EVs or the pricing that's usually shown in advertising, it's usually for this entry trim. So I wanted to bring that to the channel so you could guys see the entire range of ZDX trims. Now, let's talk about some of the pricing. Like I said, there's essentially, well, technically there's 4 trims for ZDX. So you have the ZDX single motor, and what that does is it has one electric motor at the rear of the vehicle. That's right, this car is actually rear-wheel drive, okay? We'll talk about the performance and specs a little bit later, but you can get the single motor in the rear, and that's this car here. The MSRP is going to be $64,500, right? And now that's going to be before any kind of premium paint options, right? And this one here is actually painted in a really nice scarlet red metallic, right? It's a really, really nice color, and we'll go into some more details here shortly about the exterior. So you got to pay extra to get that, but $64,500 is your base pricing. Now, you might also know that, and there's a federal tax rebate that still exists, hasn't been canceled just yet, but if that goes away, that'll change things. But for now, you can essentially get another $7,500 MSRP reduced with that incentive, plus any local state incentives that you might have in your area. So $64,500 is this. Now, if you step up to the dual motor trim, adds another electric motor up front, that's an extra $4,000, so it's going to be $68,500. And of course, if you want to go all in on the performance, the air suspension, the Brembo brakes, things like that, you got to get the Type S, and that's another $5,000 on top of it, bringing it to $73,500. There's also one other Type S trim that gives you high performance summer tires. Yes, even on this SUV for another grand, bringing it to $74,500. So you can see there's almost a $10,000 walk to go from this single motor all the way to the fully loaded Type S trim. So with that, next, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around on this ZDX. All right, guys, here we are with the 2024 Acura ZDX A-Spec single motor trim. And just like I mentioned in the beginning, this car is painted in that scarlet red metallic, right? So it's a really vibrant kind of cherry red, definitely pops. We got a little bit of overcast today, but even with that, the color really, really pops. So let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you like this paint color here on the ZDX? Now, one of the things is all of the ZDXs get this kind of lower painted silver trim that goes around the entire length of the vehicle. So no matter what exterior color you get, you're always going to have that cladding down below. So that's a unique design treatment for the ZDX. But let's go ahead and jump right into the exterior. You guys can see there are some huge creases here in the hood, right? I mean, it kind of like juts out, right? And which is actually kind of nice. So from the interior, you can almost like see where the fenders are. It kind of helps you to place the vehicle, but really sharp character lines here on the hood. As we make our way down low, ZDX has these really aggressive LED headlights and jewel eye LED headlights. Acura calls this the chicane daytime running light. If you look really close, you can see that it actually says Acura there in the headlight. So nice touch. And then you get to the front grille here, and you can see this is what Acura calls the diamond pentagon grille. But even on an EV like ZDX, while it's kind of closed off, you can see these kind of indents that kind of mimic the diamond pattern in the grille. You got a big Acura caliper logo up front. And the cool thing about this grille is you can see the surround is actually illuminated. So when the lights are on, especially at night, it really lights up and looks good, kind of like links in with the headlights there. So if you go down, you'll see on this base trim, there's actually 4 parking sensors down low. And you have actual air curtains there off to the side, as well as active grille shutters here to help with efficiency to give you the maximum driving range. So that's kind of the front fascia of ZDX. So let's go ahead, take a step back, and kind of take in the entire side profile here. So let us know what you guys think, but I think the overall proportions are really good. It looks kind of like a wagon, right? More than an SUV, but I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Like I said, you've got that silver cladding that carries from the front to the side, even to the rear. You got that chrome treatment there above the windows. That does, stay chrome again, no matter what exterior color you get. And you'll notice that even the red goes up to the roof. I point that out because if you were to get like the Type S, the roof is actually painted black no matter what exterior color you get. So let's go ahead and take a look at the wheel and tire package. So no matter if you get the single motor or the dual motor A-Spec, these are the wheels and tires that you're working with here. So these are Michelin Primacy all-season tires. They're 265 50R20. So these are 20-inch wheels. They're Acura's kind of like Berlina black color, machine finish. But yeah, I think they look pretty premium here. So next we'll kind of look at the charge door. So that's where the A-Spec badge is. And so I'm going to do this here live. So just go ahead and kind of push in the middle and then you can open it up. And now what you'll find is the charge door and the port. So this has the CCS, the combined charging standard for like your level 2 home charging and out in the public. And then of course, if you go ahead and actually pull this out, that would expose the extra prongs in case you were going to do DC fast charging out on the road. So, pretty easy access, opens nice and smooth. So there, next we have the side mirrors. They're always going to be painted black, again, no matter what exterior color you go with. They do have the LED turn signals in them, and they are power folding. So that's a nice feature. Here you can see the doors. So again, on this one, it actually has a kind of a chrome button there to both lock and unlock all 4 doors. So nice feature there. And again, we're going to just follow the lines, very nice character lines that take you to the rear. Same wheel and tire setup in the back, so we won't go over that again. But here we are with the rear. So I think this looks really premium, very unique styling, right? One of the things we'll kind of have to like take in is the top of the trunk lid here. It's got a very interesting profile, right? It's very different from other SUVs where like at the end of the windshield, it kind of juts out there, and you can actually get a carbon fiber spoiler installed from the dealer if you wanted that. So that looks really nice. But let's take a look here at the rear. You got those premium LED chicane, tail lights, look really good at night. Full LED array. You got the Acura caliper there in the middle, the A-Spec badging off to the left, the ZDX badging off to the right, and what Acura calls their E-Series badging right off to the right of the ZDX. Now, if you had the dual motor trim, you would have an all-wheel drive, an AWD badge down there. But again, this car is just a single motor trim. You still get a rear view camera and 4 parking sensors here in the rear. Yeah, it's a pretty clean design. Let us know what you guys think of the ZDX. So with that, I think we've covered most of the exterior details of the ZDX A-Spec. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the ZDX A-Spec single motor trim. And despite this being the base trim or the entry trim, it is a really nice place to be. There are a lot of materials, features, and technology in this trim. So we're just going to cover everything. So first and foremost, let's talk about the steering wheel. So it's a really nice kind of chunky steering wheel, leather wrapped, of course. It's got some perforations on the side, nice red contrast stitching here, A-Spec badging down below, and that huge Acura caliper here on the airbag cover. You've got your cruise control on the left, your music and things like that on the right. You also, even on this entry trim, you get a heated steering wheel. And it's worth noting that this thing warms up really quick and it gets pretty hot actually. So I'm sure in super cold weather that's good, but you might just need to turn it on for a little bit, let it warm up, and then turn it off. On the back of the steering wheel, you do have some controls for your volume on the right and your track functions on the left. And then you have a small little paddle shifter, which will cover what that does during the drive. The other thing you'll notice is kind of right behind the steering wheel is you got all your turn signal, windshield wiper controls here on the left, but on the right, you actually have a column shifter, right? So there's no mechanical shifter down here, no push button style shifter. You have this column style shifter. And again, we'll cover more how that works during the drive. But like I said, there's lots of premium materials. Everything you touch is like a really nice soft leather. Again, that red contrast stitching carries throughout. On the dash here, you have a very kind of nice, like brushed, dark aluminum kind of finish to it, chrome treatment above that, and this kind of two-tier, dash design. So everything looks really, really premium. And that carries over even onto the doors. You got like this real aluminum kind of trim here, chrome treatment above it, LED ambient lighting, which looks really nice at night. We'll see if we can show that here for you as well. So again, really, really premium features. Now, let's talk about the seats too. The seats actually feel really good. They're power, multi-way for both the driver and passenger. You can adjust lumbar, of course, all kinds of functionality built in the seats. And they're three-stage ventilated and heated, yes, even on this trim here. So like I said, lots of features given that you're still on the entry level ZDX trim. But next, let's go ahead and kind of talk about some of the center stack here. So for your climate controls and things like that, everything is a hard key button, which again, I know a lot of people like, right? When manufacturers start to make everything touchscreen or put in the center screen, it might be hard to find, but everything is an easy reach. Really good, like tactile feel to the turn of the knobs and the buttons. So really, really good there. As you come below that climate control, you got two USB-C charge ports, a 12-volt socket, and this kind of huge like rubberized tray, which you could, put your smartphone or tablet or something there. And then it's kind of like wraparound design for the center console, right? But you got two huge cup holders, and then behind that, you have a pocket type wireless charge pad. So you literally just drop your phone in and it sits there in charge. And yes, it keeps it charged. It works really well. Inside the center armrest, you got a really deep center console, so lots of space there. And then the fact that they have the shifter over here on the column, it really allowed them to free up this design. So you have a huge floating kind of center console, so you could put a lot of stuff down here below. It's super convenient. Purse, bag, laptop, iPad, whatever. So that's really, really nice. Of course, you got a traditional glove box here. It's a deep size. And then, you got some great features up top. Every trim comes with a full opening panoramic moonroof, and it's got a nice power sunshade to it. It's color matched to the interior, so when it's closed you can't really even tell, but as soon as you open it up you get a lot of light in. It goes really far back in the second row, and yes, like I said, you can even open it up, so that's really, really nice. Now, let's also talk about the tech that's in this car. So lots of features, lots of technology. So right in front of you, you got an 11-inch digital instrument cluster, which is customizable. It gives you all of your EV range, shows you your power, your charging. It also displays audio, navigation, but not just any kind of navigation. What's really cool is with a push of a button here is you can bring over Google Maps, which we'll get into in a second, or even like if you have your CarPlay connected, it'll display right in front of you. So that's a really, really nice feature. But speaking of all that connectivity, here is 11.3-inch full color touchscreen display, and it has Google built in. Now, if you haven't watched some of our other videos, I'll just do a quick recap of what Google built in is. It's essentially three applications. It's your Google Maps, which is your embedded Navi, and again, you can display that right in front of you. It's also Google Assistant, so you can say things like, "Hey Google, it's kind of hot in here," and then all of a sudden it'll turn on the HVAC. Or you can be very specific and say, "Hey Google, turn on the passenger ventilated seats," and it'll do that as well. So it's a really nice feature. And then lastly, it's the Google Play Store, which allows you to download new apps, right? So you can use Wi-Fi over the air. updates to bring more features and technology into the car. But despite all that, the car still has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. So, no matter what ecosystem you're in or what you want to connect to, ZDX A-Spec, even in this entry trim, has it, which is a really, really nice feature. Now, lastly, again, you guys know me and you know me about audio. Let's talk about the Bang & Olufsen premium audio system that comes with the ZDX. I mean, even on this trim, you get 18 speakers. You get 3D audio. You get these amazing looking Bang & Olufsen tweeters in the A-pillar and brushed aluminum speakers on the door, not to mention the speakers that are right above your head. There's actually 4 in the headliner. So this audio system sounds incredible. And the cool thing about it is you have this like customizable equalizer that they call Sonic. So it makes it really easy to tune your tunes. So with that, like I said, I think we've covered everything up front. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the second row. All right, next, let's go ahead and cover the second row of the ZDX A-Spec. Now, there is a lot of space back here, guys. One of the things I maybe didn't mention on the exterior is the ZDX has a super long wheelbase, right? So the wheels are pushed out, has really short front and rear overhangs, right? So that helps with the styling, but it also helps with the packaging inside. So you got tons of space back here. Now, keep in mind, as always I say, I'm about 5'10", and this is my actual driver position. I have absolutely tons of knee room, no problem fitting my feet under the seat, tons of headroom, shoulder room, you name it. It's crazy spacious back here, guys. Now, with that, there's also all those same premium materials that you got up front here in the second row. So you got the brushed aluminum, the LED ambient lighting, the chrome treatment, those aluminum Bang & Olufsen speaker grills up top, over your head. Again, it's a really nice place to be back here. You also have, premium mat pockets back here. Now, you do get ventilation back here, and you can adjust it up and down for the level, but you don't get a LED readout or a true tri-zone climate control on this trim. You do have a nice little pocket back here and 2 USB-C charge ports for charging here in the second row. So you combine those with the 2 up front and the wireless charge pad, and you've got 5 places to directly charge your devices. So plenty of connectivity and charging there. The other nice thing is with this being an EV is, you have a flat floor down here, makes it really spacious. And, the other thing is here in the center seat, it's actually kind of recessed down. So someone sitting in the middle, having this panoramic moonroof above them is still going to give them really good headroom. You also get a folding armrest that comes down with 2 cup holders that feels pretty nice. And again, as always, I have this, booster seat in here so you get an idea of how much space your children might have in the second row. Now, this is with the booster seat, but even if you had one of those mega rear-facing child seats back here, you're still going to have plenty of space for your family. 3 adults, 5 adults in this vehicle, no problem. So with that, next, let's go ahead and cover the cargo space. All right, guys, next, let's go ahead and cover the cargo space of the ZDX A-Spec. Now, of course, you can open it up with a button inside. It's actually on the driver door. There's obviously a handle here and on the key fob. So I'm just going to go ahead and push that. Power tailgate opens right up. Opens up pretty high too, so easy to get in, easy access back here, and you've got really good space as well as really nice materials back here. So with the second row seats up, you're working with 29.7 cubic feet of space. Now, if you were to fold those down, that grows all the way to 63 cubic feet of space, and it's actually really easy to do. It's a 60-40 rear folding seat. Now, there's these buttons here. Now, they're not power releasing, but it's kind of a spring-loaded design. And so all you do, it's marked L and R on the buttons. And if you push the L, for example, you see there, all of a sudden, the seat just kind of like springs forward and folds almost flat. So again, with that folded down, you can fit tons of stuff here in the ZDX. One of the other nice things about the ZDX is you actually have a little bit of underfloor storage that's not counted in that cubic feet there. So you go ahead and lift this up, and you actually have a pretty deep underfloor storage area that would be great for storing like the charging cables for the EV or your jumper cables or even both. It's pretty deep. You can definitely fit stuff under there. If you go ahead and lift it up one more time, there's actually a second shelf that reveals just a little bit more storage, where if you wanted to, like, you know, hide something away out of view, you could definitely put it down below there. So you've got some good underfloor storage, premium materials, LED lighting back here. You even got some of those speakers for that Bang & Olufsen here in the D pillar as well. So this pretty much covers everything in the cargo. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, next, let's go ahead and cover the powertrain of the Acura ZDX A-Spec single motor trim. Now, no matter which motor configuration you go with, all ZDXs have a 102 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's right, just a big slab of batteries that laid out underneath the vehicle that create that EV platform. And then pretty much you have your motor either in the rear, like you do on this trim, or a second one up front to do the dual motor, and obviously the more high performance version for the Type S. But even on this ZDX single motor, there's some really impressive specs. So in this configuration, it makes 358 horsepower and 324 foot-pounds of torque from 0 RPM. So that's the key there, and that's what really makes EV stand out, is you get that instantaneous torque and instantaneous push into the back of your seat. So there's really good performance there. One other thing we'll talk about is just charging, as it is an EV. Now, with that said, it'll say the max EPA range rating is 313 miles, but when I charge this thing up at my house, I actually had it showing 327 miles or more when it was at 100% juice. So you can get some really good range out of this ZDX. And then as far as charging goes, you can expect going from 20% to 80% in about 42 minutes on DC fast charging. And even if you're at home charging with your 240 volt home charger, you're gonna get, 29.1, almost 30 miles in a single hour of charging. So there's a really good charging specs, and you pretty much wake up the next morning and it's full and ready to go. But like I said, it's the performance that counts, and there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the Acura ZDX A-Spec single motor, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So first things first is you put the foot on the brake, hit the power button, and that's it, it's on. It's no fanfare, right? It's an EV, it's super quiet. You don't really know that it's on, right? You see all the screens light up, but that's really your main indication. Now, one of the things about the ZDX is it does have a driver memory setting, right? It has 2 seat settings, and then it has a third, which they use for like ingress, egress, to get in and out of the vehicle. So if you kind of push and hold that, it'll actually like bring your seat back to the last position. There's actually settings here in the menu where you can configure all of that down to exactly how you like it. If you don't want it to move back when you're getting in and out of the car, you can change all those settings here on the center display. So go ahead and throw on my seat belt. And as always, we'll go over the drive modes, how it feels, kind of talk about the NVH, how quiet the vehicle is, and things like that. So as I mentioned on the interior, again, ZDX is using this column style shifter, right? So like the Teslas have it, the Mercedes have it, several brands have it. So it's not necessarily a new thing in the industry, but essentially how it works is you put the foot on the brake and then you pull towards you and then down to go into drive. Now, if you want to go into reverse, you pull towards yourself and then go up, and then there's a button on the end here. If you push that in, that puts you into park. So separately, there's a parking brake button off to the left here, as well as your drive mode toggle switch, your brake hold, which they call auto hold on this car, your lane keeping assist, and even your brightness. So there's a little panel of buttons here. We'll show you that off to the left. So now that we're in drive, we're just gonna go ahead and set off. So if you've heard me in some of the other EV reviews, you'll know that under low speed setting, you kind of have that humming sound. That's a government regulation that basically is there to make sure that pedestrians hear you coming, right? So it kind of hums from the outside, but once you get over like 25 miles an hour, that sound goes away. So it's really only in super low speed setting. But man, the first thing that I noticed driving this car is like how quiet it is. Not only is there like very little with any road noise or any wind noise. It's just a really serene experience. Now, I'm going over a big train track right here. That was, I mean, that was super good. I mean, I do that in a lot of cars, trucks, EVs, supercars, sports cars. I've gone over that same train track. Usually you get a lot of undulation, you know, kind of moving up and down, vibrations, even a lot of noise. I mean, that was super easy and super quiet going over that. So again, it shows the NVH, right? The noise, vibration, harshness, how good it is in the ZDX. I mean, it really is good. I mean, today's windy, so I'm getting a little bit of wind noise coming in from the front glass, but I mean, that's only because it's super windy outside. Outside of that, it's a really, really quiet experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off here. So now I'm driving in normal mode, and even in normal mode, there is plenty of power. Like even just a quick stab, you look down, it's like 40 miles an hour. I mean, it's quick, guys, even in this entry-level trim. I mean, now obviously there's the dual motor, and then there's a Type S, which are gonna give you, you know, way more power and performance, but this is no slouch at all. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and put it into the sport mode right off the bat here. So get into sport mode, and now I'm gonna go ahead and take off from a start. So I'm gonna get straight and hit it, and yeah, it takes off already up to 60. So there it is. I mean, it is quick, and the thing about it is in sport mode, it also gives this kind of augmented sound, right? So it kind of builds as you guys can hear that, right? That's the sport mode. You don't get that in the normal mode, so it just kind of amps things up a little bit. And so I'm gonna come to a stoplight here, which gives me a sec to explain the braking, because right now I'm not using the brake pedal, I'm using one pedal driving. Now, the thing about the ZDX is that the one pedal driving can actually be turned off, but here it brings me to a complete stop, and then go ahead and wide open throttle. So yeah, I mean, once it goes, you know, and it's really, you know, once it just kind of, you know, gets on its way, it takes off. Now, again, because this is the single motor trim, you know, essentially it is rear wheel drive. So in certain cases with, like, you know, you might be loose on traction, you have to wait for it to hook up, or otherwise, you know, the traction control will come on. But once you do, and I mean, mid throttle, I mean, this thing takes off. It does really, really good acceleration. So no slouch, again, despite being just a single motor configuration. But kind of going back to the braking, like I said, it's one pedal driving, and the nice thing is it's completely configurable. You go in the center display here, and essentially there's a little foot that shows you your setting, and if you click on it, it'll then give you the option to turn it off completely, which not all EVs do, or on a normal setting, so it's like a kind of a mid-level region, so it kind of brakes, you know, slightly firm, or in a high setting, which brakes really aggressively for you. I actually personally like driving in that high setting, right? I like the idea that with just a little bit of, you know, pressure, if I release off of the gas, it brings me to a stop. And so you got to get used to it. You don't want to make yourself sick while you're driving, but for me, I like one pedal driving, and to me, it's one of the biggest, you know, things that make an EV stand out, and it just makes it really easy, especially in city and like commuting style driving. So I really, really like it. But let us know your guys' thoughts in comments down below. Do you like one pedal driving? Do you wish it could always be turned off? Would you turn it off? Let us know your guys' thoughts in comments down below. Now, above and beyond those settings, one of the other things about the ZDX is here on the left side of the steering wheel, which I showed you in the interior, is a very small paddle shifter, which is an additional kind of regen brake. Now, the thing about it is it's separate from the other settings, so you can still have one pedal driving on, but what this does is acts as like an additional layer of braking. So, you know, if you're off the pedal and the regen's kicking in, but you want to really slow yourself down before you hit the brakes itself, you could pull this regen paddle on the steering wheel, and that's almost, in most cases, going to bring you to a full stop. I mean, obviously braking distance aside, but this works really, really well. So there's lots of different ways to slow yourself down. Obviously, as you're doing that, it's you know, it's called regen braking for a reason. It's giving you more energy back into the battery. Now, it's, you know, negligible, right? But over a very long period of driving, you can actually gain some miles back, right? You can actually regen back into the battery. So, you know, like I said, the overall performance is really good. The charging performance is really good. The one thing about the drive modes, as I mentioned, so there was normal, we switched to sport, which is gonna obviously make the acceleration a lot faster. Makes the steering a little bit heavier as well. It's not overly heavy though, which is nice. And then again, there's other modes like individual, so you could piecemeal your settings. And then there's even a snow mode, knowing that, hey, if you're in inclement weather, you may actually want to dial things back to give you the best traction. So we'll go ahead here and I'll just drive it for a little bit more, guys. But yeah, I mean, in sport mode, for me, sport mode and high level of regen braking is a great setting. It's fun to drive, gives you a lot of control, and again, I like being able to slow down quickly without having to actually touch the brake pedal. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and turn right here and coming in at good speed, but now I'm actually on the brakes, giving it around, and in that case, it actually did some oversteer, guys. Like the back end of this thing kind of skirted around, and again, that's because this thing is rear-wheel drive, which is having the single motor in the rear. That's me hard on the brakes and then pushing it, and then yeah, it literally pivots out and does like oversteer. You wouldn't think it from this big SUV, and you know, again, it is heavy. It's like, you know, just over 5,400 pounds, but it drives fun and nimble, and you know, again, you feel the weight, but it definitely gets up. So again, I've had a lot of fun driving this. Let us know if you guys want to see other EVs on the channel. We're happy to bring it to you. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2024 Acura ZDX single motor? Is this the best trim in the ZDX lineup, or do you have to step up to get the dual motor A-Spec, or go all in and get the ZDX Type S? Now, as you guys might have seen, we already have reviews of both that dual motor A-Spec and the Type S here on Drive Culture. So if you haven't watched those, be sure to check those out. Or are you even just going to step down to get into the Honda brand and do something like the Prologue, which we also have multiple reviews here. So again, if you're interested in EVs, let us know your thoughts and comments down below. Let us know if you want to see other brands and other EVs here on the channel. We're happy to bring it to you. So if you joined us before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.